It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show. It's me again, Douglas Coleman. How are you? Peter Abrams is back for a third time, an unprecedented third time. With any luck, he's going to turn into the radio equivalent of Franklin Roosevelt, elected to 4 terms as president. Peter is a great guest. I love having him on. We get into the craziest conversations, from the sublime to the ridiculous, and everything in between. This particular interview, we cover the coronavirus, of course, since that's about all the news that's out there. And then we get a little more silly and we talk about what people don't wear under kilts and interesting names for British food. So an interesting conversation coming up. Please stay tuned for that. After the interview, we are playing 4 tracks from Music Submissions. We're finally getting caught up. Thank you to everybody who has been submitting on Music Submit. We've got lots of great tracks, and we're very happy to play them. First one up is Against My Will by Maddie Rain, followed by Human Life by Tiffany Thompson, and then Run by Kelly Baker, and finishing it off, Waiting on the Edge by Harvest Falls. If you are a musician and you would like extra radio promotion on our show, please check out our complete radio promotional package. Your track will air once a week for 4 weeks. It'll be permanently archived on all of our online platforms. You'll also get a 15-minute interview on the show, and your photo, bio, and links will be featured on our website in our Featured Music Artists section. Please check it out. For more information, go to douglascolemanshow.com and click on the Complete Radio Promotional Package link. So with that, we will be right back with Peter Abrams. Okay, please welcome back to the Douglas Coleman Show, Peter Abrams. Hey, Peter, how are you?
I'm good. Very happy to be back for my 3rd time.
It is your 3rd time, and I think that is a record for our show. I don't believe anyone has been on 3 times. We've had several that have been on twice, but we should give you an award of some sort.
Wow, we are making history live right here.
Well, I tell you what, I did prepare a little bit because this is your 3rd time on, so you're going to have to work a bit for this one.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't just get to show up and talk for a bit? Damn. Okay.
There's going to be a quiz, and I put out an email and had people send in some questions. So I picked 5 questions, and we'll get to those in a bit.
Cool.
So anyways, just to review quickly, you're a musician, comedian, public speaker. You wrote something called Anti-Self-Help, which I still love the title. If anybody wants to know more about you, they can listen to the previous 2 interviews. We don't need to spend all the time reviewing what we've already said. So
yes,
go on to YouTube or Spreaker or Podcast Box, Podbox, Castbox, whatever it's called. And, the show's there, and just look up Peter Abrams and you can find out who he is. But he's back, and I really like talking to Peter, so I think hopefully, if he doesn't mind, we'll have you as a sort of a regular, semi-regular guest on the show, because I think other shows do that, where they have people that they kind of bring on every so often, semi-regulars, I guess. So if you'd like to be a semi-regular on this show, I'd love to have you.
Yeah, listen, it's always a good laugh whenever we speak. It always ends up being both philosophical, political, stupid, funny. It's always good fun. So that sounds like a great plan. I'd love to be.
All right. Well, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way first, and then we can talk about more silly things. Okay, so before, when you were on, there was no such thing, or nobody had heard of coronavirus. And now it's pretty much taken over the entire world. You're in the UK, and from what I've been seeing on BBC, you guys are under a much stricter lockdown than some Americans. Here it's state by state. Some places is sort of a voluntary lockdown. Some places are, they'll arrest you and shoot you if you're out on the street. I mean, it's just, depending on where you live. But if my understanding is that the UK in its entirety is under a mandatory lockdown, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, we spoke a few months ago, and it was kind of like, in the next few months, all this exciting stuff. And then the world kind of got put on pause. So that was a bit of a blind side. But it turned really quickly here. And I think it was a mixture of the government not wanting to, we're slightly more reserved over this side. We're not too quick to, get the guns out and say, right, everyone stay indoors, everyone don't panic. I think it was kind of held back how serious it was here. Because at the start, at least, it was kind of like, well, wash your hands, look after each other, but it's not too bad yet, guys. And then, like, a few days later, the Prime Minister was going, everyone stay inside, don't leave, everyone's going to die. So it was a bit like, fucking hell, what happened? So it turned very quickly, and very quickly our Prime Minister went from being the laughingstock of the country to this sort of overnight hero in most people's eyes. So, at the moment, we're all under, stay indoors unless you absolutely have to. You're allowed to go out to exercise for 1 hour a day, and that's basically as much as you're allowed to do here. And
you can go buy food. How is food? I mean, is the supermarkets fairly well stocked, or are the shelves empty?
Yeah, listen, I mean, all things considered, it's okay. You can get into any shop you kind of want, and the shelves are all right. There's a lot of people complaining about, having to stay under lockdown. But by large part, most of us are getting paid the majority of our wages to stay at home so that our free health service isn't overloaded. If you can't get an access to food, there's a new thing that started where they're sending food to the vulnerable and people who can't get it for free. Oh. So we've got it quite nice compared to a lot of situations and scenarios in other places. So as frustrating as it is, and as much as it's out of your control, we've got it quite comfortable, I believe.
I did see on the BBC there was some guy going around in a van delivering pints of Guinness to people's doorstep. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was great.
Yeah, the biggest uproar over here is because all the pubs are closed.
Right.
So that's why we're bothered.
And he actually had the setup, he could pull the pint right in front of your doorstep.
Really?
The foam and all, and just put it right on there. It was great. He's the hero in my book.
I'm gonna track this guy down and have a party.
Well, the one thing interesting about the UK, and perhaps why Boris became such the hero, was because he actually got it, and he was very sick.
Yeah, I know.
So
it was kind of ironic how, like, before it came out that he had it, there's a thing going on over here where every week there's a big sort of, everyone goes outside their house and claps to to give their thanks to the NHS.
Yeah.
And there was one time early on where he sort of led it and they filmed it. So he was outside Downing Street and he was clapping and then the whole nation joined in. And then, like, a day later, it turned out that he'd caught the virus. So it was a bit like, maybe you should have stood a bit further away from all your colleagues when you were clapping. It was kind of like the irony, and it wasn't lost on myself. So
Well, and then he sort of became the hero after that, because he was out there trying to, rally the troops, so to speak. And then he caught it.
Yeah.
and he was quite sick for a few days. I guess he was on a ventilator, and I'm glad he's all right now, and he seems to be doing okay. So that in itself is sort of, it paints a positive picture that not everybody who gets this thing is going to die.
But it burst the bubble that the government was somehow behind all of this, or that they were sort of untouchable. It made it very real, because it was like, oh, that dude who's in charge of everything. Yeah. Oh, well, he's got it now as well. And then, like you say, it was also, oh, and he's better. Oh, we're not all going to die straight away. Oh, that's all right. I can breathe a little bit now.
Yeah, and also you brought up a good point. There are those conspiracy theorists out there who think that this was a government-manufactured virus. Now, my question, and I've been talking this point with several of my guests, I never believed the bat soup theory that came out originally, because I don't know if you remember or not, but before it was even bat soup, they were saying it came from snakes, and that came out first.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they said, no, it's not snakes really. Now it's bats. Okay, now it's bats, and it was from some wet market in Wuhan, and now there is serious concern that it escaped from the Wuhan laboratory, and I tend to believe that one. Okay, but the question really becomes then, was it intentional or was it accidental? And I'll give you my reason why I'm suspicious, and then you can comment on it.
Sure.
If you remember just slightly prior to this virus coming out, China and the United States were embroiled in a very heated trade battle. And Trump was really putting the thumbscrews to the Chinese for their unfair trade practices that they had been going on for decades. And nobody had ever called them out on it. At the very same time, there was hundreds of thousands of people protesting in Hong Kong for political freedom. And China was caught in between both of those. It was sort of with their pants down. They didn't know what to do. All of a sudden, this virus comes out. The protests completely stop in Hong Kong, and the trade situation has gone on permanent hold. Now, according to China, which I don't believe, nobody has died from this virus in like 3 weeks. Their count numbers have just simply stopped going up. In fact, at one point about, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, people started to complain, saying, no, your numbers can't be right. There's just no way. So what the government did, they said, okay, well, we'll just add another 1,000 to it. So the number on the app, which I've been sort of watching, all the death counts and things across the world. So the app number for the Chinese total dead went from like 3,600 to 4,600 in one day. And then it just didn't move again.
Right.
So, we'll just add 1,000 on there. Yeah, okay. Is that better? Everybody happy now?
Quick, they're on to us. Quick, add a number on.
Quick,
Put
add a number.
On the end. Fuck's sake.
And then it also says that nobody is contracting the virus anymore. It just all of a sudden stopped. And I'm not believing it. I don't believe the death count number. I think you could add 2 zeros to that, and nobody would know any different. So the Chinese are notorious for lying and for covering up and for incredibly strict censor measures on their printed media and social media and online media. So you don't know really what to believe. My only thing is that it just is awfully convenient that it happened right at that precise moment. And anything that's usually that convenient usually isn't true. I'm reserving judgment.
Yeah.
They are investigating. I saw a news article just today that the intelligence community is officially launching an investigation into the lab, and we'll see what they find. But I am reserving judgment with suspicion. So that's where I stand. Where do you stand on this?
The three things I'd say on it is, one, China was known for China was known for fixing data before this virus. So I don't think you can immediately give them a free pass. So I think it's kind of obvious in at least some format the data's been manipulated as point one. Point two, crazy, lovely, but want to live in a fantasy world conspiracy theorists existed before this virus. I'm mates with some of them on Facebook, and so they still exist now. And so instead of, it being, the reality is it's a virus and it's spreading, it's much nicer for these people to believe in these 5G towers that will put us all under some new level of consciousness, and now soon we're all going to be plugged into the new Matrix sponsored by Mark Zuckerberg. So that exists too. And third of all, which is my main point, is that whether it's man-made, natural, whatever the cause of it is, the system which the majority of the world is currently living under didn't work before for most people and doesn't and won't work after this. So whatever caused it, that corporations and huge transnational corporations are going to twist it to benefit them because it's what they've always done. So for me, it doesn't even matter if it was, I say that, I'll take that back. Of course it matters if it's a deliberate act or a man-made act compared to a natural thing. But my point I'm making is either way, the corporations and the politics and all the stuff I've gone on about before on the show are going to use it to their advantage and to better their agenda. I know for a fact that there's already talk in the UK that we're going to go into a totally cashless society after this, because these corporations are going to use, hey, do you remember that corona thing that knocked us all sideways? Well, we can prevent stuff like that happening by going totally cashless, and all you've got to do is sign up here. And so for me, the biggest issue I have with it is the systems which didn't really work for us before still aren't going to work for us afterwards. And I would like, if possible, a lot of people to be able to use this as like the wake-up call of like, holy shit, most of my life I've spent my time doing stuff I don't enjoy and branding myself with labels defined not of my own wish. And now that I'm stuck inside a room or a house for an indefinite amount of time, I really have to think about who am I and what do I stand for and what is the point of what I do. And I think the reason why there's a lot of people feeling really down or feeling really stressed about it is because most people are realising most of the life they've lived has been pointless, doing pointless shit. But the good point is we can use this current time to understand that, so that when there's a point in time where we can then choose how we live, we can choose to live better. And so for me, like I say, whatever caused it, for a fact that corporations and politicians and all of them are going to twist it to benefit their own case. And to, I've seen so many freaking adverts on TV over here which basically use the virus as like a way to promote their message. And it's just like, you bastards. You can't even just drop the I'm on this side and you're on that side for a month while we actually sort shit out. It still has to be within the remit of what you've always done. So hopefully this could be the thing that wakes people up to go, cool, maybe I should actually do something with my life.
Well, I agree with you on that. I absolutely do. I'm going to take the other side of the argument in a second. But I did want to stress that obviously it does matter if it was deliberate. Because if it was deliberate, that's an act of war. Okay, if you deliberately release a deadly virus to the world, and it wasn't just to the United States, it's to the entire world. So if it's,
of course,
if it's proven that China did that, they're going to be on the entire world's shit list and would really need to be held accountable for that. That's the first thing. If it was an accident, it was an accident. Okay. The second thing about the corporations using this, to profit themselves, yes, that's the anti-capitalism argument, which I think is fine. It's valid. I'm going to use this virus as the anti-socialist argument as a silver lining to tell the people who are on the pro-socialist movement in the United States and around the world that this last few months has been a perfect example of what it's like to live in a police state. And if this is really what you want, this is how your life will be for the rest of your life. Because this is exactly what socialism is a police state. It's the government telling you where you can go, where you can't go, when you can go, for how long you can go. It's exactly what it is. During the height of the Soviet Union, they had restrictions as to where they could travel. They certainly couldn't leave the country. And everything was sort of laid out. This is how you did it. This is where you went. You were told. And we're getting firsthand in our Western free societies what a taste of a police state is like. Some places worse than others. New York City and Los Angeles are probably the worst in this country.
Right, okay.
But even the governor of Michigan is taking a lot of heat because she did some really stupid things. Like the Home Depot, the Home Depot can be open, but they can sell this, but they can't sell this. And it's like either the store is open or it's closed. Don't segregate what you think is essential and non-essential. So she nitpicked it right down to the specific items in the store that they could sell or they couldn't
She's got
sell.
too much time on her hands.
Oh, yeah.
To run in Michigan.
Yeah,
Deciding
absolutely.
when bacon's back on the shelf.
So the one thing I think we could both agree on, though, is that this is definitely a reset moment in our society, in our world. Whereas from this point on, life will never be quite the same again. People have said that about 9/11, that was a reset moment, and it was to a certain degree, but I think this is going to be far more significant. It's going to have a far bigger impact. 9/11 really, I mean, I'm sorry for the people that died. That's not what I mean. But 9/11 really only impacted the airport. In other words, the airport is different now than it was pre-9/11. There's much more screening. There's much more security in place, right?
Yeah, most of us watched that on well, I didn't. I was 3 years old, but obviously I've learned as I've got my brains as I've got older. But I feel like most of the world watched that through a screen, and went, "Oh my God, that's such an awful thing that happened over there."
Right.
And so, just by how we are as humans, we watch something on a screen and then we flick over and it's the latest reality show, and we kind of go, "Oh, well, that's a sad thing, isn't it?" But that's the news. Whereas this is like, it's happening to you or your family or the people you know. And so it puts it right in front of everybody's eyes. And even the dumbest people who walk the earth can't go, "Oh, well, I'll just get on with life as normal," because it's not an option at the minute. So I 100% agree that, it's going to be looked back on as a seismic shift in how humans existed on planet Earth, because everybody has been affected.
Very true. Okay, any last things about the virus? I think that pretty much covers it, yeah?
Yeah, I agree with what you say. Like I say, I just want to clarify, I think it totally matters how it happened and what the cause was. And I also, like you, hope it is a highlight of, hey, Big Brother can quite easily jump in here because we're all sitting online and we're all relying on technology at the minute more than ever in our life.
Right.
And I hope that it isn't the point. I hope it's a time that we look back on and say, hey, this is when we decided to start making real good changes, instead of, hey, this is when Skynet got implemented.
What's the other one that President Trump wants to start? Space Force.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Skynet sounds better. You should have just called it that. Yeah. Trump's gonna hire Elon Musk, and then Elon Musk's gonna fly around in an Iron Man suit, making sure all of us are online for at least 10 hours a day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, no, Space Force, I think the idea is to protect the atmosphere from, people who may want to sabotage satellites or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But
yeah.
It would probably be more like Star Wars, or Star Trek, where they'd have uniforms and represent the United States or something.
Trump definitely has an Emperor Palpatine essence to him.
He does, yeah.
He could pass for that,
Yeah. That's about right, yeah. Okay, so let's move on. I'll give you a choice. Do you want to take the English versus American food quiz, or do you want me to do the questions that people sent in first?
Let's do the food first and then go on to the questions.
Okay. A lot of people in America don't know a lot of the foods in Britain. And typically we don't have the really cutesy names for our food dishes like you guys do. Except for there is a deli in New York City that would name a sandwich after you, after some celebrity. So if you're
Right.
somebody, you could go into this deli and say, "Oh, I'd like a Dean Martin or a Frank Sinatra or something like that,"
Oh, cool.
and you'd get a particular sort of sandwich. All right, but it's not nationally known what that sandwich is. It's only specific to that deli. But in England, you've got all kinds of these crazy ones that we don't really know what they are. So what I thought I would do is just read off 4 of them and ask you to describe exactly what it is. Okay?
Yeah, sure. I'll try.
Okay. They're easy to more difficult. Okay. I tried to put them that way. We'll see. Okay. First one up is bangers and mash. What is that?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just like pork sausage and mashed potato.
Okay.
If you want to get fancy, you usually have it with gravy and onion. But again, that's only for the elite Brits.
Okay. All right. The next one is toad in the hole.
All right, yeah. These are all based around sausages. So basically, it's a pork sausage or multiple pork sausages in like a batter. So like a, do you know what I mean? Like a what a corn dog's in.
Oh.
What a corn dog gets put in, like a slightly less full of fats and shit version of that, basically.
Okay. So it's a sausage in some kind of a pastry dough.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay. Okay, the next one is Eton mess.
Oh, yeah, so Eton mess is basically, it's like, do you know what a meringue is? A meringue?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically like broken up pieces of that with like raspberries and fruits, and then maybe like ice cream or cream or some sort of, fruity sauce. It's a dessert, and it's just like really sweet and fruity.
And it's served in a parfait glass, correct?
Yeah.
And the last one, spotted dick.
Yeah, everyone goes on about this. Whenever I'm in America, you have spotted dick, and I'm like, yeah, listen, it's basically like a bread pudding based thing with I don't actually know what's in it because I don't like it, and I don't tend to eat it. I had it once when I was younger. I was like, that's not me. So yeah, it's some form. It's quite old fashioned, that though. That's not really a common thing anymore in the UK. I think it's just kept its sort of notoriety abroad because of the name of it. So yeah, it's some sort of bread type of thing, usually with like syrup on.
Now the spotted bit is because it's, what has it got? Raisins or sultanas or something in it?
Yeah, that's it. And they basically form in the bread to look like spots. So that's where the name comes from.
Well, see, most of us, if we hear that, we think it's something that one could contract if they weren't careful in Borneo.
Yeah, that's the thing. We get so yelled English about our food names. That's the difference between our cultures, Douglas. Is we have a Yorkshire pudding and you have a jumbo hot dog. It's like,
right.
You'd struggle over here with random names a lot more than you would in America, I find. But the biggest thing I've realised from being in America and England is just like how much stuff is in your food. Like most Americans I've known who have been in the UK have gone like, your food's so healthy, man. And it's like, well, it's just sort of plain because there's not much stuff's added into it. Where I find when I'm in America, most stuff I buy is always loaded with shit just in it, which I love. I love the food in America. It's like my guilty pleasure. But yeah, it's always got loads of added stuff in.
Well, it's pretty apparent that given the size of Americans, that all of that stuff that's in the food is going somewhere. We are absolutely the fattest culture on the planet and proud of it.
Do you know, when I was in Orlando not that long ago, I saw it. But the thing is, it captured that sort of obsessive, just like don't even eat till you're full, just eat till you can't eat anymore attitude. It just takes people over. It just plays to that sort of like primal part of like, just keep going, man. You don't know when the tiger's going to chase you. You got to stock up for the winter.
Absolutely.
And everyone, when I was in Orlando, we went to an all-you-could-eat buffet at Golden Coral, and my friends I was with I think they had a breakfast and then a roast dinner and then dessert in the space of like half an hour. And I was like, it shows you, because it's just such like salty, fatty food. Your brain's just like, oh, give me more. And before you know it, you've been eating for an hour. You know?
Oh, yes. Okay, well, that's the English versus American food. Let's see. I'm trying to think, what is my favorite? Actually, I really like tea. You know, that's for me, it's the scones and the clotted cream. Yeah, that really does it for me. Yorkshire pudding's not bad. You got to do something with it, though, because it's just kind of like bread.
Yeah.
It's just sort of plain.
It's very bland.
Yeah.
The good thing with tea and stuff is it's very adaptable. You know, it's at a base, it's got a sort of generic taste. I mean, you can sort of add the flavour or the sugar or the milk or whatever you want to make it nicer. Well,
I wasn't referring to just the tea. I meant the whole tea, you know, with the cakes and the sandwiches.
Cakes. It's a nice, it's a nice sort of mixture. I love American coffee. That's what I've really got hooked on since the last time I was out there. I nearly wasn't allowed back in the UK because I put some in my like hand luggage and it got for America fine. But obviously, like they check when you get back and there's just some sort of like metal tin. I think they're going, sorry, sir, could you explain what this is? And I'm going, oh, God. So, yeah, my mornings now are some Columbia coffee from my new coffee machine.
Well, you know, everybody likes what they don't have. And I think that's part of human nature.
Exactly.
You know, if you grow up on it, you're bored with it. But if it's something new and novel, then people want it. Okay, let's get to the questions now. We've got five questions. Some of these are fairly simple, and one of them might be a test, but let's see. First one, but there's nothing too personal. You know, nobody asked you about your shoes, shoe size or anything. So,
size 9 UK. Yeah.
Okay, so how tall are you, and what do you weigh?
Oh, bloody hell! That's so personal. No, I'm joking. Well, you see, I don't know how you. I don't know if it will translate because I'm not sure if we say it differently, but I'm 5'10" height-wise.
Okay.
And I weigh about like 12 stone, I guess. I haven't weighed myself in forever. Maybe I'm a lot heavier.
All right, so 12.
Yeah, about that.
I'm trying to think. We use pounds for. Well, let's do this. What are you in kilograms? Do you know that?
No. I think.
Okay, so how many pounds to a stone? I think there's 14.
I think in pounds it'd be about 170.
170 pounds. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Then you're not overweight.
No, I'm not heavy enough to compete for the heavyweight belts. But give me a cruiserweight shot, and I'd grab it both hands.
All right. Next question. What is the difference between a Commonwealth and a Dominion?
A Commonwealth and Dominion?
Yeah.
Are you saying like just the definitions, or
right.
What I think on a?
No, I don't think they're looking for an opinion. I think they're actually wanting a definition. What is the difference between a Commonwealth and a Dominion? Because I hear that referred to with Britain a lot. Oh, it's a Commonwealth of the UK, or it's a Dominion of the UK. Referring to other countries.
Right, okay. Yeah. Well, obviously the Commonwealth is like the collective states, the political associations of all the territories. And I think the reason it's, you know, the British Commonwealth is it's all the countries that used to be part of the British Empire. So I'm guessing, you know, so then you can say, well, a Commonwealth in its sense is all the countries which make up a joint body. The British Commonwealth is all the places Britain used to rule before they gave it back. Dominion, I have no idea what a Dominion is.
Okay.
Not ashamed of it. Did I write a book about politics? Yes, I did. Do I know what a Dominion is? No, I don't.
Well, I believe you are correct on the Commonwealth. And as far as I know, I could be wrong, but a Dominion the difference is that a Dominion is a self-governing body or country that still uses the Queen as the figurehead, you know, in spirit.
Right, yeah. Okay, yeah.
In other words, her picture may show up on official government documents, or in the case of Canada, it's still on the $20 bill. But she has no power and no authority.
With her face on.
Yeah, but she has no power or authority and they are self-governing away from the British Parliament. That's my understanding of a dominion.
Right. Yep, I'll take that as an answer.
All right.
Phone a friend.
Okay. Number 3. Have you ever worn a kilt? Oh, they must have thought you were Scottish. Have you ever worn a kilt?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, so I have some family who live up in Scotland. I'm not Scottish, despite the red hair, but yeah, I have worn a kilt, and it's chilly.
Okay, and that's a 2-part question. This is, and if yes, what did you have on underneath?
Well, nothing. That's the whole idea. Come on, that's the whole idea. You're meant to wear a kilt, nothing else. Probably because the Scottish warriors are kind of like we're hard as nails. I was just a bit cold.
So you wear nothing at all under there, yeah? Just
no, you don't. You wear like 4 layers on your top. Like you got your vest, your top, your jacket, your over jacket, and then they put you in a little skirt with nothing on underneath. Like, this is a weird masculine culture that Scotland have developed.
Well, so please don't do a cartwheel if anybody asks you to, right?
No, basically you stay on 2 feet at all times.
And if you sit, cross your legs.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, number 4. Do you have coronavirus or know anybody who has got it?
No, I don't. Hopefully it stays that way. I don't. I don't know anybody like very personally who's got it.
Okay.
I know a girl I'm friends with. One of her grandparents actually died from the virus. Which obviously I didn't know them personally, but that kind of made it a bit more real because I was like, oh shit, man, someone's actually died for someone I know. So that's the closest it's kind of got into my circle is like family members or friends, but no, not personally. Okay,
well that's good. All right, and the last one, what was your favorite thing about America?
Oh, that's a really good question. I love America, I really do, and I'm not just saying it because I'm on this show. I really do. It's for me where I would like to, within the next few years, make a permanent home for myself because
nice.
I just really, I've been to many different parts and this is a exclusive for you. After this is all sort of lifted and we can move again, I'm coming over to play a bit of music but also do my talks in the high schools and all the American schools, and I'm going to do a sort of a road trip as I'm doing these talks, kind of do a little tour into all the different high schools, which is going to be awesome. But back to the question, the reason I love America, I just love the craziness and how I believe it personifies what humans are all about to the max. It brings out the best and the worst in us, is what I found in the time I've spent over there. The opportunity and the wildness that can ensue when we want to make it and we want to achieve, mixed with the salt of the earth, really good, amazing people you just meet in some random bar somewhere in some state that you've never been to before. The thing I love is it captures all the good, the bad, crazy, ugly and beautiful things I think that humans are capable of, and is really certainly all of my life been the place which has led culture and dictated culture. And so by default I've always kind of had an obsession with, ever since when I was like a teenager, I loved the cars and the neon lights and that whole side of it. And then as I was fortunate enough to be able to come over there a numerous amount of times now, have just fallen in love with the people and also just the bizarreness of it. Where else in the world can you be driving down a road and have like a machine gun shooting range on one side, a McDonald's on the other, mini golf, diners, it's Disneyland and the Empire State Building. It's just nuts, but I love that. I love the excitement I have when I'm over there. So that's my big answer.
Oh, well, that's great. And I hope you do get over here, and I hope this virus thing goes away where we can all get back to our lives and you can get on. I think the high school kids would really enjoy you speaking at them. Yeah, especially American kids where, well, they're going to be all, oh, he has a nice accent, doesn't he? They're going to sort of do that, but you do have a good message for them as well.
Yeah. I'm also going to stop off along the Vegas way as well, so we can do one of these. We can do one of these chats live in person, which would be quite cool.
Yeah, I think we should leave it right there. I think this is a great place to wrap it up. I just will say one last thing. Do you have anything you want to report that you've been doing, except that you've been locked away? So I don't know. Have you been doing anything at all? What I mean is writing or...
I've been pretty productive.
Yeah? Okay. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, when it got sort of serious and it was like, right, well, you're staying inside, I thought, well, what better time than to do all the shit you've been waiting to do? So I'm writing the next book, which, is basically going to be the follow-up to, since I started this weird, crazy journey, the 4 years since that. Once you've done the TED Talk and once you've spoken at Glastonbury, what do you do after? What's happened in the 4 years since? What's changed about the world? So it's going to be a follow-up. So I've been writing, that's almost done. I've written the majority of that since it started, which is great. I've finished the album for the band, so that's going to, as soon as we can get in the studio to record, I'm going to be doing that and getting that out. But the thing I'm doing quite a lot of at the minute is like online workshops, I suppose, like online sort of people come along and we talk and we do all that. So that's been really good fun as well because, I've been able to help out a little bit and been able to sort of de-stress some people who have been freaking out, and it's just been lovely. So yeah, I've been pretty busy.
Well, I'm happy to hear it. You live in London?
Yeah, just outside, but yeah.
How long are you supposed to stay on lockdown? What is the latest timeline? Do they have one?
It's touch and go at the minute. It's getting extended at 2 weeks at a time, basically. So we're currently on another 2 weeks, and then after this 2 weeks is up, they'll assess it again. My belief is that it's going to gradually revert back. So, you'll be able to have gatherings of 5 people and then 10 people, and then it will gradually start normalising that way. But it's on a 2 week at a time sort of schedule at the minute, and we're currently in week 2 of this current one, and then they're going to assess it again.
Do you have to wear a face mask when you go out?
No, you don't have to. Some people do. Some people are dressed up like they're in the bloody Antarctic. It's just mental. But if you listen to any expert, they say the masks don't do that much, and so I personally don't. I like a bit of fresh air. But
the one thing that I think the masks do is they won't prevent you from contracting the virus from somebody else, but they will help if somebody is contagious. In other words, if I've got the virus, I wear the mask, I go out, and I'm sneezing and coughing all over the place, it'll catch a lot of the moisture coming out of my mouth to keep it from spreading into the air. So it has sort of a limited effect that way to help.
Yeah, if nothing else, it's a psychological effect, isn't it? Well, I tell you, I was on a walk and there was a woman who was dressed head to toe in all the gear to be double protected, and she goes to cough and whatever, and then she puts her hand under her mask to like itch her face, and then starts touching her phone without her glove on. And I'm like, I think you missed the point of it.
She totally defeated the purpose of the mask at that point. Yeah.
So I was like, well, at least you're out having a nice walk.
What was that woman called back in the day? Oh, Typhoid Mary. The one that they thought spread the entire typhoid.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Corona Katie.
Yeah, Corona Katie. There you go.
She's out there, guys. Be careful.
Peter, thanks so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun.
No, yeah, it's been great fun again. Listen, whenever you want me to come on and deliver my lovely accent, I'll be happy to do so. So thanks for having me.
Hi, this is John Morgan, production supervisor for DJC Productions. And you're listening to The Douglas Coleman Show.
Walking down south, away from the crowd. New shoes on and I'm ready for you now. Sun explodes, where does time go? One more breath, let's take it slow. Take one look around. When you think you found what can fill the holes, really makes them grow. Shit, I slipped again. I'm on the edge, can't fall in. Don't let me fall. Seatbelt on, I'm in control. In the driver's seat of the car I stole. Armors on, these walls are built bulletproof, but this heart beats still against my will. Shot to the chest, bulletproof vest. Won't let 'em take me like the rest. A pattern to beat, explode at your feet. Feel your pulse beneath the sheets. Take one look around when you think you found. Looking through the holes really makes you grow. Shit, I slipped again. I'm on the edge, can't fall in. Oh, I'm slipping. Seatbelt on, I'm in control. In the driver's seat of the car I stole. Armors on, these walls are built bulletproof, but this heart beats still against my will. But nothing really matters anyway. I'm just someone right now, today. Nothing really matters anyway. I'm just someone right now, today. Take all I have, take all you need. Take my heart and let me bleed. Seatbelts off, losing control. In the driver's seat of the car I stole. Armors off, coming in for the kill. Not bulletproof, but this heart beats still against my will. But nothing really matters anyway. I'm just someone right now,
Take a walk with me to the willow tree. Hear hidden memories of another's life. Don't you love the way she can bend and not break underneath the weight and wrongs of life? They can't put a price on a human life. It's a twisted game evil people play, thinking if they sold me, it means that they own me. It means that they own me. But I am free, I am faith, I am hope in a hideaway. I am love, I am brave. I'm not afraid to stand up to hate. They can't put a price on a human life. No, they can't put a price on a human life. My eyes fear the dark and my body bears the scars. But I've got a resilient heart and a home for the restart. Now I'm free to dance, rise up and dream. I make heaven real in the face of adversity. 'Cause I am free, I am faith, I am hope in a hideaway. I am love, I am brave, I'm not afraid to stand up to hate. They can't put a price on a human life. They can't put a price on a human life.
It's 1:45. Time is running on empty. Time is grabbing its gun. Don't try to love me, don't dare. I won't let you see me in sun. Gonna pull the trigger, so boy you better run. Run, 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 run. Better run, 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 run. Better run, 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 run. I will burn my heart to save it from the start. Bury its ashes in the ground. Forget to love you, for I'll learn how. Shake you from my spine. Shake you for you, shake mine. Bury its ashes in the ground. Bury its ashes in the ground. Run, 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 run. Gonna run, 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 run. Run, 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 run. Run, 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 run.
for something